Okay, so where we're sitting now, again, we're in Soho in London, and I remember Mark, when he was a boy from Southend, and his brother Eddie was in Eddie and the Hot Rods, right? Yeah. And Mark's first job, now it's about 100 yards from where we are sitting now, was the Marquee, where Mark used to sell tickets on the door for his brother's gigs.
Really?
Yeah, I remember him telling me that. Yeah. I definitely remember him telling me that, and that is literally like around the corner. I can nearly see the end of the street where we're sitting now, and so probably there is that. But he did. Oh God, again. I can hear it. Shut up, Popey. But
no, I don't.
But he'd hate me. He'd hate me for doing this, for getting serious about his music. Because the thing is about his music was that it didn't need to be talked about really, and here I am talking about it. But if I did analyse I Believe in You, there is a spirituality to his music which no one else quite achieves. And if we maybe play it later,
we will play it.
Or people can play it themselves. It's up to them. But there's a bit at the end which I'd love you to explain to me musically. Actually, Robert Smith does something similar in Pictures of You. I've always asked Robert. There's like a lift that happens at the end, and whether it's a key change. You as a musician,
I know what you mean. Is that it just kind of gets very intense?
It does this thing where it floats off. And anyway, when we shot the I Believe in You video, which was, when you make a video with a record company, you have to write a thing called a treatment, and a treatment is the idea. And I remember my treatment, I can quote it now, for EMI Records, was because by then I had my claws well into the band and they couldn't really get me away from them, which they really wanted to do, to be honest. And there is... I can't remember what I was saying now, where I was going with this. What was I going about this?
Oh, you were saying about the I Believe in You video.
Oh, yeah, my treatment. Yeah. So what I did was my treatment was, this is not a real song, so this is not going to be a real video. That was my treatment.
Where did that come from?
Because the song is what you were saying before we were talking about his music doesn't have conventional structures.
I see what you mean, right?
And so this is not a real a song, and there's something way beyond it being a real song. So when we shot the I Believe in You video, which is one of my favourites, you asked me what one of my favourite videos was.
Because it's just him, isn't it?
It's just big close-ups. So to do that, because Mark was, and again, shut up, Popey, but because he was such a private person, he really was. On the day of that shoot, and I can see it now, we sent the rest of the crew out, and it was just him and me in a studio in Wandsworth in London. And I remember I started the camera and I worked off camera with him, and it was just him and me sitting there to get that performance. And there's a smile he gives towards the end, which may be about his brother, I don't know, whatever, that's your interpretation. But there's just like a smile, and it just embodies the video, and it's so beautiful. This bit where he just glows, and we just made this very subtle change with the lighting. And
that's so beautiful. Look, I want to play, I do want to play Such a Shame, and then we're going to come back and talk about another track. I want to play all of the songs, but I want to talk to you too, so let's sort of have best of both worlds. I was just saying, when I kind of go back and listen to the bands from the 80s, and I sort of grew up in the sort of mid to late 80s, and that music has a real reverence to me, because there's that sense of nostalgia as well, which is incredibly strong with music. But a lot of those bands sound kind of dated and cheesy, and you love it because of that. But Talk, I just find... I love their music as much as I love current bands, as much as I love new music. It still feels there's a sort of freshness, because they didn't follow that, like I said before, that sort of formulaic trend. And I think that, do you think that's why they're still so revered today?
Definitely.
Not only because of Mark's voice, but because of the whole songwriting.
I think if you're true to yourself, and I think if people like my videos still, it's because I caused trouble and we were true to ourselves always, and I fought the record companies. And I think when I first met Mark and the band, Bebo and Lee, who I consider to be the main band, when I first met them, they were still very much under the label's behest, if you like. I think they were. And that's why I didn't particularly like them. But I saw in the period of the next few years, as we worked together, I saw them disengage. And I know Mark used to joke that every album that he made, every subsequent album was half the speed of the previous one. And I think,
that's interesting.
I think when they'd reached such a pinnacle, such a point, I mean, if you see interviews of him, with him, you know, like on European tours and such like, I mean...
Oh, he hates the whole process,
no, he
doesn't
does, and he takes the piss out of it, so he hates the process. So I think he became disengaged from the process as the years went by and became true to himself.
Yeah.
And if there's a reason we're still talking about them, apart from the fact he was a very dear old mucker of mine, apart from... I said that correctly, thank God. But he was a very dear old mucker of mine. So the reason we're talking about it is because he was true to himself, I would say. And the band was true to, was true.
Yeah, and it was they did it at a time when it was very kind of not the thing that you do. Like nowadays, it's kind of real, anti-label and fuck this, fuck that kind of thing. But they actually did it because that was their belief. I mean, I sound a bit like too sort of hero. I don't mean to come across like that, but you kind of had a sense that he was very business smart. He knew, he just sort of had a business sense about them, and in a way, they travelled like a long way in those 5 albums.
I
think some bands would need about 10 albums to kind of get that.
I agree, and that's just because he was. And then there's a couple of another person to mention is his compadre at that time was Tim Freeze-Green. His producer, who was very much there.
Very much part of the band as well on those records.
Mark was very private about his recording sessions. They were very much about. But I do remember going to a couple. And I think, as you know, they would improvise for weeks. And then, so like the first song we heard, you were talking about the background of it. I suspect that is something they just recorded for the first time in the studio. And I think they probably then built the song over that. I suspect, I don't know that. But I think that was very much when the times I went to the studio. I remember it being very dark. No light in there. I remember like Leslie machines, the old Leslie cabinets, the very famous old, which created the
Well, there's that book that Phil Brown wrote, who was on some of those sessions, called Are We Still Rolling? There's sections of that about the recording of, especially Spirit of Eden, how it was pretty much plunged into 24/7 darkness and oil wheels that went the reverse way, kind of messing with
These are probably
everyone's...
the studios. Were they recorded at that studio up near Highbury? Because that's where I remember. Yeah. I remember going to that darkened studio, and I remember the vibe being quite sort of dark there, and in a sense they'd all been locked in there. I mean, I also remember other things. Mark moved out of London. I remember he moved up around near to the Bury St Edmunds area, and I remember. I just remember one specific evening. He had this thing called claw hands, I remember. And I can see his hands on the keyboard. And I remember just sitting, he had this old vicarage, and I remember sitting there with the sun going down and him sitting at the piano playing these chords with his hand, these sort of pained chords. And again, shut up, Popey. But
no, go on, I'm loving the little trinkets of memories.
I can really see that, him sitting there. I can see the colour of the room, I can see the trees out the window. Just lovely times with him, Yeah. Do you know I famously sent him well, it wasn't 1,000 frogs, 999 frogs. Do you know that story?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, you sure?
I'm pretty sure I don't.
The time I sent Mark Hollis...
You were actual real frogs?
Well, so I did a video with this lovely little Irish band called Stump, who were great. And the video... and the
I love that you describe them as a lovely little band and the track is called Stump.
Well, no, the band was called Stump.
Yeah, oh, no, okay, yeah.
You
no,
know the band, do you?
No, it's just funny that little and Stump.
What's funny about it? Explain.
You just said lovely little and then they're called Stump.
Well, I didn't mean it in English.
No, I know. Sorry, I'm just being
No, I'm just painting you into the corner. Anyway, so there was this lovely video that I made for this band called, and there was this sound. What's that?
Lovely.
There was this sound in it which was like rivet, rivet, rivet.
Yeah.
And I, so me being me and being quite literal, I heard frogs in my head, right? So I said to my producers, "Can you get me frogs?" So they got me 1,000 frogs, but of course they're animals, so we were very nice to them.
Yeah.
But one of them on the day cannibalised another one. So we originally
I didn't know frogs were cannibals.
Well, I think there was a bigger frog. There was a big daddy frog, and I remember I was sitting there and I saw its tongue go, whoosh, and this other frog went inside its mouth.
That's traumatising.
Anyway. So then I was left at the end of the day with 999 frogs. Now, my friend Mark, at that point, had just moved to this lovely country residence where he had a bit of a lake. Mm. So we got a dispatch rider, and I didn't tell him they were coming. And we sent 999 frogs up to him.
Oh, my
And he got
Was he out?
He got these. So probably in that lake now, there's probably millions of frogs, which are related to that day where I sent him 999 frogs.
Good Lord.
I can't remember if I ever told him it was me or not.
Oh, so he never knew it was you? All these frogs turned up in a van.
A bike rider arrived with 999 frogs.
Oh my God.
It would have been 1,000, which I shall be eternally
99 red balloons,
guilty
999 frogs.
Yeah.
Gah. There was one other question I meant to ask you about. Such a shame. The numbers on the coat, is that supposed to represent the dice as well?
I think so. I think again, it's not my best video, but I think maybe it's good because everyone knows Mark. See, he had to have a reason to be in a video, and it had to be a bit of malarkey.
Yeah, but he was good when he was in them.
No, he was because of our relationship.
Yeah,
I would say the video itself is not that spectacular. But funny, yes, I haven't seen the video for so long, but we would throw a dice, and then he would like put on a bobble hat, or he would put on something, and that's how we made that video, and we used the numbers. I don't think it was. I think if I made it these days, it would be probably very good, or much better, if you like. But my favourite bit on that was we went out to a pub nearby the studio, not to go to the pub, but we filmed him, and I can see him now. I had my camera over the other side of the road, and we filmed it stop frame with him walking.
I know that bit. There's two of them, isn't there?
And it took about an hour to do, and it would just crack me up because he was over the other side of the road near the Wandsworth roundabout. Because that's one of those questions people always ask me. Where was that film? In fact, where they filmed a bit of Clockwork Orange, the film.
Really? Yeah.
Well, the famous scene where he beats up the old tramp underneath the underpass, where we were about 100 yards away from that, and I can see Mark now in his little bubble hat walking step by step, and in fact he did it in reverse because we of course wanted to make it difficult, so we had to have like almost a reason to want to make the videos. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He had
what about the rest of the band? Were they always happy to sort of get behind the camera?
Yeah, I mean, they were, as I say, the rest of the band for me were Webbo and Leo. I think were amazing musicians, and both the two of them as a unit, I think, were incredible. And they were like a club. I mean, there were loads of jokes, like when we made the Dum Dum video. There were like loads of catchphrases around the band, like Trazes. Did you remember that bit? And the bit where at the end of Dum Dum Go, where I go and kiss, very young me goes in and kiss Mark on the forehead, which is quite funny.
I've got a still shot of that, actually. I put it up
of me going on.
Yeah, I thought it was you kissing his hair.
It was
such a sweet moment, and it's very you to do that.
Yeah. Well, it was just whatever happened at the time, but
I mean, so this video, were they singing live over the video?
Right. So this again was the Mark's sort of philosophy of making videos, and I think this talks about his music really. That once the music was done, he had the music done, so he didn't need to. He wasn't precious. He wasn't precious, and in fact, that's another thing we can come on to why he didn't record music over the last few years, because I think that's interesting. So it didn't matter to him that he recorded a live vocal. So yes, in Dum Dum Girls, and we did 2 takes of it, and I put both of them out with this really pedantic, like, this video was shot at such and such a farm at such and such a time, and so the videos became like a bit of a playground. I mean, funny enough, I was just thinking, and I'd forgotten about this, but as he got into the slower albums across the years, we talked about making sort of ambient. He was really into nature and such like, and we really got into talking about filming trees and things like that, and
quite apt for you.
Yeah, atmospheres and stuff like that. Yeah. We really got into, sadly never did those, but I remember him and I having long conversations about that. Sadly never. I think to a degree, I don't think the record company saw the value of those later albums. Of course, those are the albums we love now. Because
I mean, there was a famous thing where they tried to talk for not making it commercially viable.
I know,
went to Polydor, and then it was deleted. I think it was Laughing Stock. Well, one of them was deleted like 3 months after being released.
Oh, was it really?
Like that.
I didn't know.
Yeah. I think they were slightly ahead of the time when those 2 albums came out.
I would say very ahead of the time. I mean, I think so. We're talking about the albums. Which one's Colour of Spring and?
Not so much Colour of Spring, because that was still in the album. Being really nerdy now, but the Spirit of Eden and Laughing Stock.
Laughing Stock. Those are the 2 albums which I just recall so. I mean, in a way. I only discovered those really later on. That was very much around the birth of them. I was just around the birth of those albums, very much so.
I think sometimes an album, you can have it in your backdrop, you know, in your sort of tapestry, and it's there and you know it and you're very familiar, but it suddenly hits you, doesn't it?
Right.
You suddenly listen to it and go, oh, I sort of, it's happened to me a few times where I've had an album for a long time and then I suddenly really, really listen to it.
But don't you think it's when a band are kind of just being very true to themselves?
Yeah, completely.
That's what I think.
Completely.
When they're not listening to the powers that are, you know, and Mark could have very much carried on, I think, writing songs like "It's My Life," but chose not to, and followed his own muse, if you like.
It's sort of quality over quantity, isn't it? How many of those songs, you know, do you want to carry on writing? You know, is it a challenge to you if you've done the best of that already? You know, surely it's for you and your personal journey to do. You know, I feel like you are drawn to bands that do. Kind of make up the rules themselves, really, and don't adhere to the whole industry thing.
So,
you know,
what other bands
much...
would you put into that category?
I'd say The Cure, definitely.
Yes, I agree.
Even
yes, both bands I know instantly.
Yeah, you know,
I would agree with both those bands. Yeah, they've stuck to their guns basically. Both those bands have done that. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, we're getting very deep, aren't we?
Little bit. We can dive in and out of it, basically. Yeah. I was wondering what else. Living in Another World.
Oh, when
That's
we shot
an interesting video because they kind of almost like it feels. Well, I tell you what, there was a trend not so long ago where lots of bands were being shot in red and blue.
Oh, really?
And you did that in like what, 1922? 1922.
Yeah. The early days of filmmaking, I did that.
Yeah.
But,
steam-powered cameras.
Well, that was hilarious. That shoot
sort of disappeared into the piano.
Well,
what's going on in
I'll
that
tell you
one?
a couple of things about that shoot. Again, I don't think the execution of the videos is brilliant in itself. It isn't. It's a drag. I wish I had the chance to make those videos. Sometimes I think...
I wouldn't want to change anything about those videos,
I know. Well, they are what they are, aren't they?
Yeah.
But that one, for example, that was hilarious because I remember I had an aircraft engine just beyond the camera.
Is that what was creating all the
my
winds?
God. I mean, it was like...
So they weren't upside down?
No, the first bit, Mark is sitting at a piano and he goes, dong, there's a big chord. And then
it's on.
What's that?
Then it just gets switched on.
Yeah, exactly. And then well, no, just on the chorus, and it's suddenly and it's just the expression on his face cracks me up on that one because it's just like I'm doubtless falling on the floor, pissing myself
He's
off
laughing
camera.
A bit.
Oh, I'm just on the floor. And then as the day progressed, we had to rig the piano. There's something really awful when you do that. I think I did that with a Cure video for Love Cats where you gut a piano. It's it's taking a soul out. So we had to gut a piano.
That's along the lines of frog cannibalism.
Yeah, exactly.
It's piano gutting.
It's not nice.
I hope you're going to have these in your autobiography.
I'll probably burn in hell for that. Suddenly you're looking at me with like really hateful eyes.
Shut up, no, I'm not.
Watch it, darling. So I'm going to gut your. I'm going to gut your bass guitar. But anyway, the later bit of that video, the band were all hung upside down.
Yeah.
Which was probably incredibly dangerous. I remember big chains coming up down from the ceiling, and there's a bit where Webbo comes up and meets eyes with Mark, and it just cracks me up.
Is that upside down, that bit?
They're upside down.
I couldn't work it out.
They're hanging upside down. So we hung a piano upside down, and then we lowered them on chains. There's always, to me, I mean, people often say there's a degree of sadism in my videos, and I'm trying to work that out.
A little bit of human danger.
Well, a fair bit of human danger. And anyway, and then we were hanging the three band members upside down on chains, and people start throwing up if you do that for too long.
Right.
And then we lowered them on these chains upside down through the gutted interior of this video, and that's how they're swinging around in zero gravity. But there's a bit where Webbo comes up.
Well, Paul, if you're listening, reliving these memories.
Yeah, well, yeah. When I'm thinking, I can see it exactly. And there's a bit where Webbo comes down and goes, "Pudar." That was I don't know what that phrase was about. You have to get Webbo on to talk about that. And there was some bit where he was talking about Pudar. There's a bit where he comes and makes this gesture to his stomach or something, which gets Mark laughing. So I think the videos just had to be just really mad to engage him into them. They had to have something about them.
Yeah, I mean, do you think... I don't know. Do you think it's a bit of a lost art now, music videos? Because I sort of feel it is. Like yours just have a very real feel about it. Like it's more about the idea rather than the kind of sleek execution and everything looking really glossy. Yours tell a story.
Well, I don't have a view on that really, because I'm not really so interested in videos. I can tell you if I make if I make a video, I still think I can make quite good ones. I made one for our
Tim Burgess one.
Yeah, I made one for our dear mutual friend Tim Burgess.
He was dressed up as an angel.
Yeah, which was great, and that was really great. And I think that's still a good video. But I don't really. Always people waving to us. That's nice. Anyway, I don't have a view on videos really. I think I was around at a golden age with videos when you were able to. But I don't think they're as important anymore, and I don't think there's really a place to see them. But I could make videos that were just as dangerous if people would let me. Yeah. If any bands out there. But the thing is, there's no point me trying to do it for £3 because I can't. Yeah. We really want to work.
There's no money in it, but it's good promotion.
We love your Cure videos and your Talk videos and your David Bowie videos. We've got £3 to make it. No. No, thank you.
At least a fiver, man.
Yeah,
Come
at least
on,
a fiver.
At least a fiver.
Yeah, or maybe you want to do it for the art. Well, I do, but I've also got to feed my family.
Man. So, I mean, back in that day, the record company kind of let you sort of do what you wanted in a way?
No.
Did you have to really,
absolutely wrong. The record company had no choice because I had relationships with all the bands. You know, at that point, I was working with The Cure, Soft Cell, Bowie, Queen.
You were the go-to.
I was the go-to.
Dude.
I was the go-to.
Go-to frog.
Go-to. Yeah. And I. So really, I remember record companies used to take me to lunch to find out what their bands were thinking because I was a similar age to the bands. You see, they kind of adopted me. So in a way, I always consider myself, and I often say this, to be the bespoke tailor. So of the area that I was in. So bands came to me to get a suit that fitted them, if you like. Do you see what I mean?
It's a very good way of describing it.
Well, no, it's good. And so really record labels did not have a choice in it, and that was what was great. And so people say these days, do you want to write on a video? That's the term. I'll put the word write in inverted commas. It means, do you want to come up with an idea versus the other 89 people? And I go, no, thank you. I don't want to write on it. Thank you very much. Because my thing was very much having a rapport with the bands and sitting down like we are now and getting to know them very well. And I always talk about the crawl space of the song, not C-R-U-E-L, but C-R-A-W-L.
Right.
So I'd always go inside the crawl space of the song and hear what it was about, look at their career, and in a way, that's the way I worked with bands, you see, because that's what interested me. And nowadays, I think it's very difficult to build that rapport. And I'm not being critical or moaning.
No, that's just the way, isn't it? It's very instantaneous. Do this now.
Now, for example, I can email Neil Young, I can email Iggy, and they'll always reply. They'll always reply, depending on what they're doing. Neil often replies within 2 hours. I couldn't do that with a young band these days, but yet I can speak to Neil Young, and that's bizarre.
So it's more difficult to build up that kind of rapport, I suppose, now, isn't it?
Yeah, but also because there are so many video directors, and if I'm that bothered, but there are, and because there are so many, the loyalty doesn't exist. So, for example, with The Cure, I think I used to do, say, 4 videos per album. I think two of them would probably be bloody brilliant, even though I say it myself. One of them would be okay, and one would be utter cack, which Robert Smith would always remind me about. And still reminds me about whenever I see him, doubtless. And so, So,
what's your favourite Cure video?
Loyalty.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, it's that thing of building up. What I love about what you do is that you really, like you say, get inside the head of the band and really sort of extract a visual idea and what the song is about. And that to me is where the art form is. That's why I'm so fascinated about music video, because to me it's not just another arm to the publicity of a track. To me it's sort of like a visual, representation of another way of expressing
another thing people I think forget is that as the band, and this, you can look like a wanker in a band
that's not difficult
in a video.
Yeah.
Have you?
No, it's true.
Where after you think, I wish I hadn't done that, and
if you're trying a bit too hard as well.
Arguably, I never did that. Apart from Freddie Mercury and that drummer, whatever his name is, and that guitarist, I can't remember their names. They've eluded me. Always moan about me making their dear old Freddie look like a Mediterranean prawn.
Oh.
Which is true, but on the other hand, and if Freddie wants to dress like a Mediterranean pool,
I'm sure he would have told you if he didn't want to do it.
Indeed.
It's not like he was shy.
Indeed. So there you go. So I think maybe apart from that one video, I avoided the world of twatdom with bands.
Oh, we can't escape the world of twatdom these days, man.